Number 10. Drinking orange juice for breakfast. If you think a glass of orange juice is a healthy, natural way to start the day, you are the victim of a marketing campaign from 1916. Before that year, oranges were not juiced. They were eaten as a fruit. But the growers in California had a problem. They were harvesting way more oranges than people wanted to eat. They were cutting down trees because nobody was buying the fruit. So they hired a marketing genius named Albert Lasker. He realized that eating an orange takes time and effort. You have to peel it. It is messy. But drinking an orange takes seconds. He created the slogan, "Drink an orange." He convinced the public that juicing was the modern, healthy way to consume fruit. It worked too well. Suddenly, people were consuming 3 or 4 oranges at once in a single glass. Today, commercial orange juice is basically flat soda. It is stored in giant vats for a year, stripped of all flavor, and then reflavored with perfume packs to taste like fresh oranges. It is a sugar bomb that we drink because a desperate farmer 100 years ago needed to sell his surplus crop. Number 9. Shaving your legs and armpits. If you are a woman, you probably think having hair on your legs or underarms is unhygienic or masculine. That is not biology. That is Gillette wanting to double their profits. In the early 1900s, Gillette sold razors to men. That was it. That was the whole market. But they looked at women and saw a massive pile of money they were missing out on. The problem was that nobody cared about female body hair. It was considered normal. So in 1915, Gillette launched a campaign in fashion magazines. They called underarm hair objectionable and embarrassing. They invented a problem that did not exist. They told women that to be modern and sophisticated, they had to be smooth. They literally shamed half the population into buying sharp blades to scrape their skin every week. Before this campaign, if you saw a woman with hairy legs, nobody blinked. Now, it is considered a social statement. We are literally paying a company to fix a flaw they invented. Number 8. The carbon footprint. You probably feel guilty about your carbon footprint. You try to recycle. You take shorter showers. You feel bad about flying. You think it is your personal responsibility to save the planet. This concept of a personal carbon footprint was popularized by British Petroleum, or BP, in a massive advertising campaign in 2005. Why would an oil company want you to worry about your carbon footprint? It is a classic magician trick. Look at this hand so you do not see what the other hand is doing. By shifting the blame to the individual, they took the pressure off themselves. They made you think that climate change is your fault because you did not unplug your toaster, rather than their fault for spilling millions of barrels of oil into the ocean. They successfully privatized the guilt while socializing the damage. You are out there washing out yogurt cups while they are causing massive spills. Number 7. Lather, rinse, repeat. Read the back of your shampoo bottle. The instructions almost always say lather, rinse, repeat. We follow this like robots. We wash our hair twice every single shower. There is absolutely no scientific reason to wash your hair twice. One wash is perfectly fine to clean your hair. The word repeat was added purely to make you run out of shampoo twice as fast. It is the most brilliant 2-word marketing strategy in history. If they can get you to use double the product, they double their sales without finding a single new customer. It is like a toothpaste commercial showing a long strip of paste covering the entire brush. You only need a pea-sized amount. But if they showed that, they would sell less toothpaste. We are literally pouring money down the drain because a label told us to do it again. Number 6. Chronic halitosis. Bad breath has always existed. But nobody really cared about it or treated it as a medical condition until Listerine needed to sell more liquid. Originally, Listerine was invented as a surgical antiseptic. Then it was sold as a floor cleaner. Then it was a cure for medical infections. It was a liquid that was looking for a purpose. In the 1920s, the company decided to sell it as a mouthwash. But people did not think they needed mouthwash. So the company dug up an obscure medical term called halitosis. It sounded scary. It sounded like a disease. They ran ads showing sad young women who could not get a husband because they had this medical condition. They made people paranoid that their breath smelled terrible and they did not even know it. They monetized social anxiety. Before the campaign, Listerine earned $100,000 a year. 7 years later, it earned $8 million. They did not sell a cure. They sold the fear of being lonely. Number 5. The expiration date. You look at a carton of milk or a can of soup. The date says yesterday. You throw it away. You think you are being safe. You are actually being wasteful because the manufacturer tricked you. Most dates on food are not safety dates. They are quality dates. They are labeled best before or sell by. The sell by date is purely for the grocery store staff to know when to rotate the stock. It has nothing to do with when the food goes bad. The best before date just means the manufacturer thinks it tastes best before that day. It does not mean it is harmful the day after. Companies love this confusion. If you throw away a half-full bottle of ketchup because the date passed, you have to go buy a new one. It creates artificial demand. We throw away billions of pounds of perfectly good food every year because we treat a suggestion like a law. Your nose knows better than the label. If it smells fine, it is probably fine. Number 4. Bacon and eggs for breakfast. The classic American breakfast. Bacon and eggs. It feels traditional. It feels like something farmers have been eating for centuries. It is not. It is another invention of a PR consultant named Edward Bernays. In the 1920s, the beechnut packing company wanted to sell more bacon. They hired Bernays. At the time, most people ate a light breakfast of toast and coffee. Bernays asked a doctor if a heavy breakfast was better for farmers than a light one. The doctor said yes, because farmers work hard in fields all day. Bernays then sent that question to 5,000 other doctors. He used their answers to run headlines saying 4,500 physicians urge heavy breakfasts. He implied that bacon and eggs was what the doctor ordered. He manipulated the entire medical community to sell pig meat. He did not care about health. He cared about moving units. And now we think a heavy, greasy plate is the most important meal of the day. Number 3. The engagement ring rule. How much should you spend on an engagement ring? The common rule is 2 months or 3 months of your salary. You probably heard this from your parents or friends. But where did they hear it? They heard it from De Beers, the diamond cartel. In the 1930s, they ran ads suggesting 1 month's salary. In the 80s, they decided they wanted more money, so they ran ads featuring a beautiful woman and the text saying, 2 months' salary showed the future Mrs. Smith what the future would be like. They literally invented a tax on love. They set the price of entry for marriage. Before De Beers, engagement rings were not mandatory, and they certainly were not diamonds. Diamonds are actually not that rare. De Beers just controls the supply to keep prices high. They convinced the world that a shiny rock with zero resale value is the only way to prove you are not a cheapskate. If you spend 3 months' salary on a rock, you are not romantic. You are a good customer. Number 2. Plastic recycling symbols. You finish a bottle of water. You see the little triangle with arrows on the bottom. You throw it in the blue bin. You feel good. You think it will be melted down and turned into a new bottle. You have been lied to. That triangle does not mean the item is recyclable. It is just a resin identification code. It tells the factory what kind of plastic it is. Big oil and plastic companies lobbied to put that symbol on every piece of plastic specifically to confuse you. They knew that if people realized plastic was trash, they would stop buying it. So they created the illusion of recyclability. The truth is, less than 10% of plastic is actually recycled. Most of it, even the stuff you put in the blue bin, ends up in landfills or the ocean. The recycling symbol is not an instruction. It is camouflage. It is there to make you feel okay about buying a single-use bottle that will last for 500 years. Number 1. The concept of jaywalking. This is the ultimate corporate trick. They literally changed the law to kick you off the street. Before the 1920s, the streets belonged to pedestrians. Children played in them. Vendors sold food in them. Cars were the intruders. If a car hit a person, it was automatically the driver's fault. The public hated cars. They called them dangerous machines. The auto industry saw this as a threat. If people hated cars, they would not buy them. So they launched a massive campaign to shame pedestrians. They invented the term jaywalker. Back then, the word jay meant a country bumpkin or an idiot. So jaywalking literally meant walking like an idiot. They lobbied governments to pass laws making it illegal to cross the street except at corners. They hired Boy Scouts to hand out cards to people crossing the street that said, "Do not be a jaywalker." They stole the public roads from the public and gave them to machines. Then they sold us the machines so we could use the roads we used to walk on for free. The entire design of our modern cities is based on a victim-blaming campaign from 100 years ago.